The planet lay in ruins, a gray wasteland of jagged rocks and ruined structures. Smoke rose from the distant hills where battles had raged hours ago, and the air smelled faintly of burning metal. Lyra, a high-ranking commander of her alien faction, crouched behind a crumbling wall, her body trembling. Her armor was scratched and dented from the fight, and a deep wound in her side throbbed painfully with each breath. She had fought hard, faster and smarter than most of her soldiers, yet somehow she had been outmaneuvered. Now she was alone, wounded, and very afraid. She could hear the faint hum of engines in the distance, human patrols moving carefully across the debris. Every fiber of her being screamed that the humans would kill her the moment they saw her. They were ruthless, merciless hunters of her kind, or at least that was the story her commanders told. Lyra's sharp eyes scanned the ruined buildings, searching for a way to escape, but every path seemed blocked or dangerous. A shadow moved across the rubble, cautious, steady. Lyra froze, pressing herself tighter against the wall. Her claws dug into the broken concrete beneath her, gripping for support. The shadow drew closer, and she realized it was not a full squad, just one human. He was tall, with broad shoulders, and his armor had the scratched marks of battle. Lyra's heart thumped in her chest. He could kill her with a single shot. Any rational thought screamed at her to run, to strike, to do whatever it took to survive. But her body refused to move. Something about him was different. He moved slowly, carefully, not like a predator closing in, but like someone assessing a situation. Lyra's breathing was shallow, almost silent. She could see his helmet's visor reflecting the weak sunlight, but there was no immediate aggression in his posture. The human stopped a few meters away and crouched behind a fallen beam. He raised his hand slightly, showing that he meant no harm. Lyra's mind raced. Was this some trick, a trap? No alien had ever hesitated to kill one of hers in such a situation. She watched as the human pulled something from his pack. A small device, maybe a medkit, though she had never seen humans use one like this. He unstrapped a container and carefully pulled out what looked like a bandage. Lyra's eyes narrowed. He was treating her, not attacking. Her mind reeled. Could humans really act like this? She had expected violence, betrayal, and death. Instead, he moved toward her slowly, speaking words she didn't fully understand. The tone was soft, calm, almost compassionate. Her alien instincts screamed at her to lash out, but her body betrayed her. The wound in her side made her dizzy and weak. She was too tired, too injured to fight. She watched him kneel beside her, placing the bandage carefully over her wound. The pain eased slightly as the device sealed the deep cut, and Lyra blinked in disbelief. Why are you helping me? She finally managed, her voice trembling. The human didn't answer with words she could understand. Instead, he pointed to himself and then made a gesture toward her, repeating it slowly. I am not your enemy. You not dead, he said in broken common. Lyra's tail twitched nervously behind her. She had been trained to read body language, to sense deceit. Every muscle in her body screamed that this human should be lying, that this was a trap. But the gentleness in his movements, the careful attention to her injury, something about it made her pause. Maybe he was telling the truth. Hours passed as they stayed there, neither moving too quickly. Lyra kept one eye on him, one eye on the ruined city around them. The human offered her some water, which she accepted hesitantly. She drank, feeling a warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with hydration. She had expected hostility, and instead she found care. You? Different, she said slowly, testing the words. The human only nodded, his expression hidden behind the helmet, but his posture suggested agreement. It was impossible. Lyra's entire life had been shaped by the belief that humans were cold, calculating predators. She had seen their soldiers slaughter innocents without hesitation. Yet here he was, risking himself to help her, showing mercy where there should have been none. As night fell, the temperature dropped sharply. Lyra's species did not fare well in cold, and the wound in her side made the shivering worse. The human noticed and tore a piece of cloth from his own uniform, wrapping it around her to keep her warm. Lyra wanted to recoil but could not. The gesture was too human, too kind. Hours later, distant explosions and the whine of engines signaled approaching patrols. Lyra knew they were from her own faction. She had escaped them once before, but now she was too weak to move quickly. The human stood, looking around for the best route. He gestured for her to follow, then started toward a narrow passage between two collapsed buildings. Lyra's mind raced. Could she trust him? What if he abandoned her? Or worse, what if he led her straight into an ambush? Every instinct screamed that she should run, hide, fight. Yet every part of her body wanted to follow him. There was a strange hope in his actions, a promise that she might survive without killing or being killed. Together, they moved cautiously through the ruins. Lyra noticed how he scanned the environment constantly, using both hands and his eyes to sense danger. Unlike her own soldiers who relied on brute force and numbers, he used patience, observation, and careful planning. He seemed weak compared to a trained alien warrior, but his intelligence, adaptability, and courage were undeniable. They reached a small underground tunnel that had once been part of the city's subway system. The human pointed to the tunnel, then gestured for her to enter first. Lyra hesitated. She could move on her own, but the human's eyes urged trust. Slowly, carefully, she entered the dark passage. Inside, the air was damp and cold. The walls smelled of mildew and decay. The human moved behind her, keeping a careful distance but close enough to respond if danger appeared. Lyra's senses were on high alert. She could feel every vibration in the floor, every echo in the tunnel, but there was no immediate threat. Only the human's presence, steady and deliberate, and her own pulse racing. Hours passed as they navigated the labyrinth of tunnels. Occasionally, Lyra would catch glimpses of patrols above ground, their searchlights scanning the ruins. The human guided her around them, using hidden passages and collapsed walls to remain unseen. By the time they reached a hidden chamber that the human used as a temporary base, Lyra was exhausted. Her legs trembled and her wound throbbed painfully, yet she felt a strange sense of relief. She had survived, not because she had fought harder, but because this human had shown her a path to survival she could not have found alone. The human motioned for her to rest, producing more supplies from his pack. Lyra hesitated but accepted them. She ate quietly, keeping her eyes on him. He was quiet too, speaking only in short phrases or gestures. She realized that he did not need to explain everything with words. His actions already spoke louder than words ever could. "Why, you not kill me?" she asked finally, breaking the silence. He looked at her, tilting his head, then pointed to himself, then to her, and finally made a gesture toward the world outside. His meaning was clear. He believed in something greater than immediate vengeance. He believed in life and mercy and survival without unnecessary bloodshed. Lyra's mind reeled. Could this be possible? Could a human really act with such honor and compassion even toward an enemy? She had spent her life believing otherwise, yet here it was, undeniable in her eyes. The night passed slowly. Lyra kept a careful watch while the human rested. She could not bring herself to sleep fully, not yet. But for the first time in her life, she felt the faint stirrings of something unfamiliar. Trust. Not blind trust, but a cautious, fragile hope that perhaps not all humans were as cruel as the stories said. As dawn broke over the ruined city, the distant sound of engines returned. Patrols from her own faction would be scanning the area soon. Lyra felt a pang of fear, but also a strange determination. She had a choice: flee alone and risk death, or trust the human and face the danger together. She looked at him, studying the careful way he packed his supplies, the way he watched for threats, the quiet strength in his movements. Somehow she knew that if she stayed with him, she had a chance to survive. Not because he would fight her enemies with weapons alone, but because he understood courage in a way her own kind often did not. Her tail flicked nervously, a sign of both fear and curiosity. Slowly, she nodded, signaling her agreement. The human looked at her, and though his expression was hidden, she sensed approval, perhaps even relief. Together, they prepared to move, ready to face the dangers ahead. Lyra still expected the worst: ambushes, attacks, betrayal. But for the first time, she felt that something unexpected might also be possible. Survival, understanding, even respect. As they stepped out of the hidden chamber and into the gray morning light, neither of them spoke. Words were not necessary. Their alliance, fragile as it was, had been forged in the quiet moments of mercy and trust. The battles outside would come and they would face them together. Lyra's world had changed, her perception of humans shaken to the core, and for the first time in her life she realized that perhaps humans were more than just warriors. Perhaps they could offer something unexpected, something that could change the course of her life entirely. The distant hum of engines grew louder. Patrols approached, closing in from multiple directions. The ruined city stretched before them, gray and lifeless, but for Lyra it had begun to feel different. The fear she had carried for so long, the constant suspicion of humans, had not vanished entirely, but it had softened. The human beside her, Captain Ethan Ward, had proven something she had never expected: that humans could act with honor, compassion, and courage even toward an enemy. They moved cautiously, weaving through collapsed buildings and shadowed streets. Ethan led the way, scanning the horizon, his movements precise and deliberate. Lyra followed, her injured side still throbbing but less painful now. She had accepted his help, and for the first time she trusted someone outside her own kind. "You heal me," she said quietly, the words almost a whisper. Ethan glanced back at her, his helmet reflecting the pale morning light. He nodded, pointing to her wound, and then to himself, repeating his broken common words. Lyra understood. He had saved her life, and he would continue to protect her, at least for now. Hours passed as they navigated the maze of ruins. Occasionally, distant patrols scanned the area, their engines whirring faintly in the background. Ethan taught her how to move silently, how to use the environment to their advantage. She noticed how human tactics relied not on brute strength alone, but on observation, timing, and strategy. Each lesson made her see humans in a new light. At one point, they came across a collapsed bridge. The gap was too wide to jump, and the structure above had weakened from the bombardments. Ethan examined it carefully, his fingers tracing cracks and broken supports. Lyra watched him with a mixture of caution and curiosity. "This possible?" she asked, her voice tense. Ethan made a small gesture, indicating that it would be risky but achievable. He gestured for her to follow, and together they moved across the broken bridge step by step. Lyra's heart pounded as she balanced over the jagged edges, trusting the human's judgment. When they finally reached the other side, she allowed herself a small nod of approval. She had survived because of him, not despite him. As they continued, Ethan finally paused in a small abandoned building that seemed stable enough for temporary refuge. The interior smelled of dust and decay, but it offered safety from patrols and harsh weather. Ethan motioned for Lyra to rest. She sank to the floor, exhausted, her body grateful for the moment of stillness. He unpacked some rations from his pack, offering her a small portion. She hesitated, unused to receiving food from a human, but hunger won over pride. As she ate, she watched him carefully. Ethan did not eat much himself, his focus remaining on her and the surroundings. She realized that he was not just acting out of duty or strategy. He genuinely cared for her survival. Why?" she asked again, unable to contain her curiosity. "My enemy." Ethan looked at her, tilting his head, then pointed to himself and then to her, finally gesturing toward the horizon, toward the ruined city and beyond. He spoke slowly, each word measured. "Life worth more than hate. You live. Choice. Yours." Lyra's alien mind struggled to comprehend the simplicity, yet depth of his words. In her world, enemies were enemies until death. Mercy was weakness. Yet here was a human offering her a choice, not as a captive, not as a bargaining piece, but as a living being with free will. The thought unsettled her. Could it be that humans valued life in ways her own faction could not understand? That they could act with reason and empathy, even in the midst of war? The realization both intrigued and confused her. The hours passed slowly. Night fell again, this time darker, colder. Lyra's species did not tolerate low temperatures well, and the wound in her side flared with pain. Ethan noticed and carefully adjusted the covering he had made for her earlier, adding extra layers from his own uniform. She wanted to recoil, to insist on moving herself, but the warmth and comfort were undeniable. In the quiet moments, Lyra began to speak, testing the boundaries of this fragile trust. She asked about humans, about their tactics, about their lives. Ethan answered in short phrases and gestures, but the meaning was clear. Humans were not just fighters. They were thinkers, planners, creators. They valued life and freedom even when surrounded by destruction. Lyra found herself slowly lowering her defenses. The rage and suspicion that had been her constant companions began to soften. She realized that if she had encountered this human in any other context, she might have considered him an ally immediately. Yet because he was a human, a member of a species she had been taught to hate, the impact was far greater. A sudden noise shattered the moment. Engines hummed faintly outside, closer than before. Patrols. Lyra stiffened, her instincts screaming for flight. Ethan held up a hand, signaling her to stay calm. He moved quickly, scanning the entrance, then gesturing for her to follow through a hidden side passage. They moved silently, shadows among shadows. The patrols passed without detecting them, and Lyra felt a rush of relief. But relief was short-lived. Outside, the sound of gunfire and alien shouts echoed. A human squad was engaging one of Lyra's own patrols. She froze, torn between her loyalty to her faction and the strange bond forming with this human who had saved her life. Ethan noticed her hesitation and gestured, his meaning clear. She could choose her own path now. She could return to her faction, perhaps continue the fight, or she could trust him completely and escape this cycle of violence for a chance at survival and understanding. Lyra's heart pounded. She had spent her life following orders, never questioning the morality of her actions. Yet here, in the ruins of a city that had seen too much death, she felt something new, freedom of choice. And with it, a strange, terrifying hope. She nodded slowly, signaling that she would stay with him. The gesture was small, almost imperceptible, but the meaning was clear. Ethan gave a small, approving nod, then motioned for her to move ahead. They left the tunnel and emerged into a safer area, a small valley shielded by natural rock formations. Here, Ethan finally allowed them both to rest. He set up a small makeshift camp, and Lyra watched as he moved with purpose, preparing food, water, and shelter. For the first time, she allowed herself to relax completely, to trust that he would not betray her. As night deepened, Lyra found herself speaking more openly. She told him stories of her life, of her training, of the battles she had fought. Ethan listened, nodding, occasionally responding with gestures or short phrases. She began to realize that he genuinely cared not just for her safety, but for understanding her as a person, not just as an enemy. Eventually, he offered her a small token, something simple but meaningful, a small charm he had carried from Earth. He placed it in her hands without speaking. Lyra turned it over, examining the strange symbol etched into it. It was a gesture of peace, a human symbol of trust, and it struck her deeply. Her mind raced. No alien she had ever known would have offered such a thing. Mercy was weakness, kindness was naive. Yet here was proof that humans could act differently, that they could inspire hope even in the heart of war. Lyra held the charm close, feeling a warmth she had never known. The human's actions, his choices, had changed something inside her. She realized that the humans she had been taught to hate were capable of courage, honor, and compassion. They were not perfect, but they were capable of something her own faction often lacked: empathy. Days passed in a blur of cautious movement and survival. Lyra and Ethan navigated the dangerous terrain, avoiding patrols and hostile creatures. With each challenge, Lyra's respect for him grew. She began to see humans not as weak, fragile beings, but as resilient, clever, and surprisingly capable allies. Eventually, they reached a small settlement controlled by neutral forces. Here, Lyra could rest fully, heal her wounds, and make decisions about her future. Ethan had earned her trust completely, not through force, not through manipulation, but through simple human acts of kindness and courage. Lyra sat quietly as he prepared a small fire. She held the charm tightly, thinking of the battles she had fought and the expectations she had carried. All of it seemed distant now. What mattered was the human who had chosen to save her, to offer her a choice, to show her something unexpected. For the first time, Lyra allowed herself to hope, not just for survival, but for understanding, for change, for a future where humans and her species could perhaps find common ground. She realized that the war, the hatred, the endless cycle of violence could be different. It could be challenged. And it had begun with one human who chose mercy over bloodshed. Ethan looked at her, his helmet reflecting the flickering light of the fire. Lyra felt a strange bond, one that transcended species, faction, and war. She understood that trust was powerful, that compassion could be more effective than force, and that sometimes the most unexpected gestures could change everything. As she drifted off to sleep that night, safe for the first time in days, Lyra held the charm close. this moment. The moment when she realized that humans were capable of something extraordinary: mercy, courage, and honor. The distant stars shone above the ruined city, indifferent to the lives below, but for Lyra, they seemed to sparkle with a new possibility, a future shaped not by hatred but by understanding. And somewhere in that vast universe, she felt the quiet presence of one human